My name is Kimmo Rossi. I'm from St. Unitas Roberto in SOC E1, and the future name of the unit from 1st of July onwards will be Connect G3. I'm going to talk about the future now that we are still waiting half of the audience to join in. It's good to start from the more distant future, which is not so distant after all, as you will find out. But the implementation of these programs will happen in the years 2014 to 2020. There are two programs covering three elements: research, innovation, and infrastructure. We have now a single program covering the whole cycle from research into innovation, the Horizon 2020. But we have a new program covering infrastructure construction, building of linguistic infrastructure. This is something new, a program that we didn't have before. So the two programs are Horizon 2020 for research and innovation. It is a sort of continuation of the framework program. In a way, it's the framework program number 8, but it's more than that. It's also the innovation part, which used to be funded through the CIP program. It's now all under one roof, Horizon 2020. And the infrastructure program is called Connecting European Facility for building pan-European service platforms, pan-European service infrastructure. I will give more details on that later. Now, it's important to remember that both of these programs are legislative proposals that have been adopted by the Commission and presented to the legislator. The legislator is collectively the European Parliament and the Council of Ministers. So the Member States will decide, and the European Parliament will decide together about final adoption of these programs. And these programs will not become effective until they are formally adopted by the legislator. So everything that I'm going to present is just a snapshot of the situation. So I will present the elements of the Commission proposal, what's in it, and may say a few words about the current status of preparation. First, Horizon 2020, the Research and Innovation Program. The budget in the proposal, in the Commission proposal, suggested budget is 80 billion euro, and about 20%, 16 billion euro of that is earmarked for ICT part. So the part that is more interesting for you, because this program covers all possible areas from transportation to space research, health, medical sciences, social sciences. So the program has basically three pillars. The research and innovation part has three pillars. The excellent science, including the future emerging technologies, the European Research Council, research infrastructures. Then the industrial leadership, which is here in italics because it's the most relevant for you, and where the most mainstream ICT themes will be found. Societal challenges includes a wide range of actions, wide range of topics that I would say are not directly interesting for us. We are in the industrial leadership topic. There are new elements like access to risk finance to provide risk capital, loan and equity investment instruments, especially for growing SMEs. And there's a dedicated funding instrument for SMEs that provides support for the entire innovation cycle, from feasibility study to research and development, all the way to commercialization. This is a new way of new form of financing that we didn't have before. So now let's look at the interesting part of the ICT part of Horizon 2020. The proposal, the legislative proposal, which is a public document that you can find, sets out 6 activity lines. So this is as much, I'm now going to expose you as much as we know about the topical distribution, the topical elements of the ICT part. There are 6 elements: new generation components, next generation computing, future internet, and then the one that is most interesting for us, content technologies and information management. Advanced interfaces, micro and nanoelectronics. So let's look at these content technologies and information management more closely. What's in it, in the proposal? This slide just presents the content, the one very dense paragraph which is written in the legislative proposal, trying to extract keywords which are placeholders. They are hooks for something that needs to be, of course, developed further. So the proposed objectives are to provide new tools to create, exploit, preserve content in any language. These are words from the legislative proposal. Provide new tools to model, analyze, and visualize vast amounts of data. New technologies for language, learning, interaction, preservation, content access, and analytics. Intelligent information management systems based on advanced data mining, machine learning, statistical analysis, and visual computing. So obviously this is not much. This does not go into very much detail of what finally will be in the work program. And the work program will specify that. What is the current state of preparation? Of course, we are in constant contact with the legislator through working parties, topical working parties. There are discussions. The outcome of these discussions can change from one day to another, so they are by nature unpredictable. And as our cabinet member Timo Kleiner said yesterday, don't take anything for granted. That any funding program is constantly under scrutiny and under threat as well, using his words. A lot will depend also on the discussions about the general multi-annual framework for budget, for EU budget. So far, in principle, there has been support and constructive discussion in these working parties for the whole program itself, so the whole Horizon 2020 and for the ICT part in particular. But that still does not guarantee anything as an outcome for our field. We will launch stakeholder consultations after summer to narrow down the themes and to find out the priorities and also pave the way for the first work program and also, importantly, the budget distributions between the themes. Early orientations then should be available in the beginning of next year. And as this package goes towards adoption, there will be the first calls of proposals issued towards the end of next year. This is the timeline. Now, the Connecting Europe facility is a totally different program. There's no research, no innovation, no development in it. It is pure infrastructure building. This Connecting Europe facility is an infrastructure package that consists of 3 very, very different elements: transport, energy, and ICT. Transport element funds construction of highways, road networks in Europe. And the energy part, power lines. So really concrete things. And then we have this ICT element which can be divided in 2 parts: the broadband and the digital service platforms. And what is interesting maybe to know is that in this proposal 9 billion euros has been proposed for the ICT, and majority of that would go to the broadband and a smaller part of the digital service platform. Right now, the breakdown is something like 7 billion and 2 billion, but this is subject to fluctuate and to change. And the digital service platforms will cover a number of service infrastructure for e-government services, e-health, e-culture, European multilingual access to online services, which is the interesting one for us, the open data portal, which is also relatively interesting for us. And the same as with the Horizon 2020, there are discussions going on with member states, council working parties and the working groups of the European Parliament. Discussions have been variable, they are every day different. They have been positive and constructive, but as we heard yesterday also from our cabinet member, who is actually more closely exposed to this, that there is a concrete threat to this program, and that we should not take it for granted, that we have to work hard to justify it and to make it more concrete for these working groups who are actually representing the interest of the European taxpayer. So we have to illustrate in concrete terms with facts and figures the benefits of this multilingual access to online services. Okay, so let's go to this multilingual part. What is this multilingual infrastructure that is suggested in the legislative proposal of the Commission? It should enable providers of online services to offer their content and services in as many EU languages as possible in the most cost-effective way. This is the vision statement or mission statement of this language infrastructure, as it reads in the proposal. And this language infrastructure should have a broad coverage. It should cover public services, especially the emerging pan-European e-government services, the e-health services, e-culture, the open data initiatives. And it should also serve commercial services, especially e-commerce, because as we have heard in previous presentations here, there's a huge obstacle, huge language barrier prevailing in the online business. We have too many monolingual e-commerce websites, and we have too few multilingual e-commerce websites, so that's a known bottleneck to bridge language barriers in the e-commerce domain. Where appropriate, this multilingual service platform would also cover user-generated content, but that's not a topic by itself. It's actually included in the public services or commercial services. The service infrastructure consists of two layers. So the more fundamental layer is the core platform. It's technical and service infrastructure, the hardware and software facilities for hosting, for storing, and uploading, downloading the linguistic resources, basic linguistic language resources and tools. It should provide standardized access APIs, the service provisions, the legal provisions that make all this possible, user registration, help desk, developers, accreditation support. So very practical aspects, operational aspects for delivering a continuous service. Then it should also consist of some basic language resources, and the mechanism for aggregating, harmonizing these basic language resources, where the idea is that these basic resources should be made freely available, that they are the basic material available for everybody, and that they serve as building block for development of services. So then the next layer, the second layer on top of this core platform, is the generic services. And they are services that are co-developed, where this core platform is more or less paid by the funding instrument, more or less 100%. Then this generic service is the more familiar way of co-financing, where the service providers actually invest also in the services, because there is an expected return on investment. And these generic services can be in areas like automated translation, multilingual information access, cross-lingual web mining, content management. So they're basically for three purposes: to understand online content, to find multilingual online content, and to embed and create value-added services. So where this core platform is mostly 100% funded through grants, 100% grants or through procurement, the generic services would be mostly funded through co-financing grants of the usual familiar type 75% funding. That's all.